Last night I was thinking about life of Jesus. And if you see going on to the cross, he did not complain about Romans, he did not complain about who being wrong. He did not say these guys are wrong and these guys are crucifying me for wrong reasons, things like that. He did not complain about it. All that one complaint he did was, in Hebrew it says, Eloi, Eloi sabachthani. O God, why have you forsaken me? He only complained to the God because he did not find any human worthy complaining. It kind of hit on me. We are complaining about everyone else because whomever we complain about, whether it's politicians, whether it's friends, neighbors, or even the neighbor's dog, we are complaining about, we are somehow making them worthy. Whereas the only thing which should have been worthy is the higher, the God Himself. So, what can you complain about anyone or anybody? Anything you complain, you make them worthy. So, I think all our complaints should only go to the God. We should never, I think it was only a revelation for me yesterday. Otherwise, I always complained about everybody. But I think now it will change for me, but I thought I'll share it with you guys. So, so that said, I think let's get into the topic. Is it already 5 minutes over? Mhm. So we are going into seventh chakra. Stillness is the significance. So you see where the seventh point is. See what Babaji said is, as you know, in the journey of these points, when we reach the fifth point, we are only there for few minutes, and then we are directly pushed to the seventh point. We bypass sixth point, and sixth point being the Agna Chakra, AGNA. A lot of people say Ajna Chakra, but it is Agna. Sometimes it is, for a few people from the Western background, it is very difficult to pronounce it like that. Agna Chakra. We skip that because the power at the Agna Chakra, sixth point, is so enticing, we get stuck over there. And first time ever, if you see when we are reading this sixth chapter, in especially in a text, Gita, Lord Krishna's recommended to meditate between the eyebrows on the sixth point to Arjuna. But Daji gave a very explanation. We read about it in our last chapter. He said, because Arjuna needed that power, that courage to fight a war, it was in the middle of the war. That's why he recommended it. But we are not going through any war in our life. We don't need that power. So that's why we skip, the progress itself skips the sixth chakra and we go into the seventh. And from the seventh, the sixth chakra is purified. Okay. So the name is the seventh chakra. The prominent element is the space, like how we were, discussing each point has a prominent element. So second point was space. Again, if you do 7 minus 5, it is 2. Second point was space. And you can do 7 plus 5, 12. Then it becomes 12th point is also space. And the color is mild red or pink. The above the sixth chakra and behind it, stillness is the quality. Main feelings are power and ecstasy, and similar vibrations, like I said, 2 and 12. And now, from here on, we are entering this what is called the paracosmic region or Parabrahmand region. We'll understand these words a little bit as we read through this topic. So, there is a parable attributed to Buddha that goes like this. One day, Buddha asked his disciple to bring him a cup of water from a nearby pond. When they returned with the water, the Buddha asked them to drink it. However, the water was dirty and murky, and the disciples could not drink it. Buddha told them to set the cup aside and wait. After some time, the dirt settled to the bottom, and the water became clear and drinkable. And today's in the modern world, even the dirt settled to the bottom, nobody will drink that water. But in those days, it was a common practice to drink water from wells and rivers and canals. Today, even the purest river, if you go and drink that water, we get sick because our immunity has gone down. So, stillness creates clarity. It creates the space of inspiration to be transformed into insight. Famous people like Archimedes, Auguste, Kekulé, and Marie Curie all made discoveries in moments of relaxed awareness, where the mind was still and essential. Invisible truths revealed themselves. So, in today's fast paced world, stillness is vital. Otherwise, we miss out on the beauty of life. Imagine a vibrant, velvety rose unfolding its petals and releasing its sweet fragrance into the air. If you are on a flight, you won't notice a thing. Even when you are in a car or running at fast pace, you may not notice it. But this flight thing I'll talk about. I was reading one article on the flight itself. Usually I try to finish the magazine they put it in, especially when you're doing the international travel. So in one of the title of the article was why tomato juice on a flight tastes good. Why it tastes good. And interestingly, everything tastes good. But otherwise, if you are in a normal situation, you won't have it in your life. Why? Because once you are on the flight, you're in a sort mentally you're disconnected from your world. You sort of become relaxed and you are in that space. And suddenly you will find whatever you do in the flight, you find it very good. Right? So that's why when you are in a space, in a sort of relaxed scenario, things appear to be good, right? I mean, I was really amazed. I mean, it was so true when I read that article. It was so true. Okay. Personally, I would never have tomato juice, but in on the flight, I'll have it. But if you stand still in front of the flower, you can appreciate its entire beauty. Right? Mind is faster thing in the universe. If the mind in a storm of restlessness, can you appreciate the beauty blooming in your heart? So, your spiritual anatomy project invokes inner stillness from day one. Meditation infuses your consciousness with a stillness and helps anchor the mind. By the time we arrive at the seventh chakra, the dimension of stillness that reveals itself leaves us spellbound. This region is called paracosmic region, meaning something that is vaster than the cosmos. It's immense region of consciousness. Like I was saying earlier, as we are moving into the higher points, see, we start like this. It's like this. It's like the V shape, right? As you're going higher, the regions, the is becoming vast. You can see, right? So this is probably the paracosmic region. It's very vast. Even the higher regions are even more vaster. What it basically indicates two things. Whenever the region is vast, in our spiritual progress, we're going to stay a little longer in this place. Here in the lower regions, we'll stay very short. This journey could happen, in a week's or a month's time, depending on individuals, right? But from here on, it takes some time. It takes some balancing, it takes some effort, it takes some practice, right? So, conditions experienced at the seventh chakra. Lifetime can spent exploring this region. It's like stepping into a different dimension where one feels as if they are standing on the edge of a vast, limitless expanse of stillness, power, and beauty. So, in heartfulness, the journey is such that one gets rich experience of this region, especially its stillness and immensity. See, because we have to traverse this entire region. Traversing here is not like from point A to point B. Traversing is like, I should have kept the diagram. Anyways, it's not a big deal. So, traversing is like when we hit this point, we are like this dot. And as we are practicing, we are expanding. This is what traversing means in spirituality. So, here we are doing our practice, cleaning, meditation, prayer, and things like that. And then we are expanding like this. So when we reach this threshold, like I was saying before, once you reach this threshold, you are pushed to the next region, next level. And then again you are expanding. So we are repeating this process at every level. So that's why it's the same meditation, same cleaning, but at a more refined level, more refined dimension of consciousness. So this is what the traversing really means. So here the scope of expansion, I mean, everywhere the scope of expansion is infinity. But if you are expanding infinitely here, you are here for eternally at this level and stuck. We don't want to get into that place. So that's why once we are hit the threshold, it is the responsibility of the teacher, the guru, to push us into the next level, right? And it does happen. So this is what really traversing means. And even the stillness, what we are talking about, gets refined. Whenever I hear this stillness, my thoughts go to this guy, Nagarjuna, from the second century. I don't know how many of you heard of him. He is considered as a second Buddha, and he is the one documented most of the literature from Buddhism. And Buddhism, as you know, it is called Shunyavada. Shunyavada really means nothing. Shunya means nothing, zero. Huh? So Shunyavada. In Shunyavada, so when you say nothing, zero, how many types of zeros can you think about? You will always think it's only one zero. But he gave 32 traits or 32 different states of the zero, okay, in his books. So that basically why he is talking about those 32 states means even that stillness we think we perceive still needs to be refined. So here, as we are expanding, that stillness is refining more and more. So the stillness before is different than the stillness after. Like about 10 years back, I only had white shirts. Okay. So my wife would say every time we go to the shopping, you already have that white shirt. I said, this shade of white is different than the, the shade I have. How many shades of white shirts you will find in a shop, right? Many, if you observe it closely. It's like that. This stillness has different shades. So when it begins, it has one flavor. As it gets refined, its flavor changes. Okay. So that's why this expansion, as it is expanding, the flavor is changing. So at the seventh chakra, one claims in the eye of the storm. Around you, there could be unpredictability, chaos, stress, and everything else that can disturb the inner peace. But you remain centered in stillness. There is a specific reason why this occurs. See, when you settle down at the seventh chakra, stillness of the soul resonates with the stillness of the mind. We talked about this resonance before, but I'll repeat it again. It is so important to understand this. See, because in the second point, if you see, what is the significance of the second point? Anyone on the call? It's peace. That's why it say the second point is considered as where the journey, spiritual journey begins. The yatra means journey, begins. It also represents peace. Why? Because the glimpse of the soul sort of begins at the second point. Okay. The glimpse of it begins at this point. So when you have this now at the seventh point, because now we are in a more refined dimension, the soul itself is reflecting. But see, the thing is, all existence is all reflection only. Because, Vivekananda gives a very beautiful explanation. In a water fountain, say the water fountain, all the droplets, each droplet is reflecting the sun. If you look close into the droplet, the sun itself appears in the water droplet. That is why the scriptures spoke about this entire world as an appearance. And people thought just because the world is an appearance, that means it is an illusion, but that's not true. The appearance is because of the reflection. So all this manifested world is reflecting the true essence of the God. But now you drop some color into this water droplet. Put some something else into this water droplet. Though it reflects the sun, it does not appear clearly. It's somewhat distorted. This appearance is somewhat distorted. Like that, what happened? We developed this impressions or sort of clouding the real essence behind it. But now, as it is getting cleared, it sort of that reflection becomes much evident. But now, if you ask me, suppose if we have three bodies, but I'm kind of representing them as separate levels, okay? We say this is the causal body, and this is the subtle body, S, and this is the physical body. How do you think the exchange happens between the subtle body, causal body to the subtle body to the physical body? It's only a reflection. See, when we are angry, the anger is in the mind. It also affects our physical system. When I'm disturbed, it also affects our physical system. Why? Because that which the vibratory state is reflecting, whatever is taking over, that vibratory state is reflecting onto the physical. Whatever is happening at the causal level is reflecting onto the subtle and then to the physical. The same thing when it happens from the feedback is also like that. Whatever is happening with the physical reflects on the subtle plane and also it reflects into the causal plane. So the feedback is also taking place. That's why, as we are cleaning, as we are progressing, the reflection becomes much, much, much clearer. So it becomes much more evident. When we say, "Oh, I feel the transmission," and Babuji many times said, "You cannot feel the transmission." That means what we are feeling or the effects of the transmission which is happening at the even beyond the causal level, reflecting into the subtle level, reflecting into the physical state, and we say, "Oh, I feel the transmission." But we are only feeling the effects of it, not the transmission itself. Okay. So that's why if you understand this reflection, then you understand, how these states are happening. Okay. So you settle down at the seventh chakra, stillness of the soul resonates with the stillness of the mind. So here the word the resonates is used, but you can interchangeably use it as a reflection or resonating. So it's as though they click into place this exact moment when you realize the existence of the higher entity within. See, here you got the glimpse, you got the realization, you got the feeling, you got the essence of it here of that higher entity. So once the resonance between the soul and mind is harmonized, nothing can shake the stillness of your mind. No matter what happens in the world around you, you are centered. So you appreciate the immense beauty of the soul blooming within, and your stillness radiates in peace and moderation. So we'll stop here and then we can continue in our next session. So, any comments, questions thus far?
So I don't have just a comment and observation.
Yes.
Every time there is a shift, during the meditation. It's kind of we're restarting over and over again. There's always a shift going on, but at the same time, we're restarting. It's like similar to we have exercise routine and something happens, it breaks, and then you restart it. So you're always at the beginning.
Right. It feels like that.
Right. It
But you
feels
are
like
beginning at a different level.
it might be. It's like compared to physicality, exercise, there's a muscle memory of
Yes.
certain things. And with meditation, it's also like a memory of whatever we have been through.
Yes.
And then jumping into that stillness becomes a little bit quicker or not.
So it is sort of, it varies.
Yes.
That's the reason, it's not continuously the same state, it varies. But if you are in the same state continuously, you won't know that you are in that state. Because all knowing is only by contrast. See, when I get into the swimming pool, I feel wetness. But once I am in there for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it's like this, I mean, especially when, the people who go into the beaches, when you get into the water, it feels cold. But after you are there in it for 5 minutes, that feeling of the coldness is gone. You are in your body, temperature adjusts to the temperature of the water, right? You don't feel it at all after some time that the water is cold. So it's like that. So when any knowing is by contrast. So we don't continue to be in that. If I continue to be in that stillness, I don't know what that stillness is until more refined stillness happens. So there is some variation because, like I said, the feedback is going also from a physical state into the mental state. But our mental state is subject to many things around us, work situations, family situations, so many other, country situation, economy, so many other factors are impacting our mind. So it is kind of shifting back and forth. But once we got hold of that stillness, so every condition we realize that becomes our balance point. So we want to come back to that balance point because now we know the balance point. So as we are evolving, even that balance point is shifting because because our state has our spectrum, as the spectrum of consciousness is mastered until that balance point. That's why Babuji beautifully says, uh, the enlightened person, there is nothing called an enlightened person. To an extent your spectrum permits, to that extent one is enlightened. So that higher state becomes my balance point, whatever that higher state I have mastered. In spite of all the trepidations, the disturbances in life, whatever the states we go through, because we experienced it, because we realized it, we can shift to that point and stay there. That's what truly remembrance means. Even in Gita, Lord Krishna says, "Remember me." And even Jesus referred the same thing several times. I am that light. How what they are indicating is when you try to reach that state, so that you that becomes your existential point. So as we are shifting, that becomes our existential point. Okay. All right. So I'll stop recording.